Hello and welcome to this English lesson. My name is Stuart. In today's lesson, we're looking at the past continuous tense. Let's go to the intro. Now, as I said, today's lesson is focusing on the past continuous tense, or the past progressive tense as it is also known. And the past continuous tense is was or were, the past of to be, plus the ing present participle structure. Now we'll see here in context exactly how we use this tense here. It can be a bit difficult because it can be confusing with the past simple. The past simple or the past continuous can be confusing tenses for native speakers and for non-native speakers, but I'm going to try to explain more or less when and how we can use this past continuous. Now, the examples that we have. When I got to the party, Tom and Lisa were dancing. Okay, here's the past continuous. They were dancing. They were dancing when I got to the party. The question, were you working yesterday at 10 a.m.? Were you working yesterday at 10 a.m.? So the question, we invert the subject and the verb. Were you working yesterday at 10 a.m.? And the negative, it wasn't raining when I went outside. It wasn't raining when I went outside. Now the past continuous tense is used to show that something was going on at a certain time in the past. Something was in action at a certain time in the past. So here the action was that Tom and Lisa were dancing. Here the action was that you were working, or I'm asking you if you were working at that particular time. And the negative, it wasn't raining. It wasn't raining. So there was nothing going on, but it wasn't raining. But it had been raining before, but at this particular moment when I went outside, it wasn't raining, okay? Now, the use with the past simple. We often use, as we can see here, the past continuous and the past simple together in a sentence. And the use with the past simple can mean that we use the past continuous to give like a background of what's happening, a background. Look at this example. Sarah called while you were having a bath. So while you were having a bath in the background, Sarah, bang, called. Sarah called while you were having a bath. You were in the process of having a bath, okay? That was what was going on at this particular time when she called. If you like, the background information, okay? So use with the past simple. Now, we can't use the past continuous. In fact, we can't use continuous tenses with what we know as state verbs. Now, we know we have action verbs, we have state verbs. We don't use continuous tenses. I say we don't use them. You can hear people using them, but the main rule is that when we have a state verb, like or know or belong in this sense here, we don't use the continuous tenses, okay? So this car used to belong to my father. We couldn't say this car was belonging to my father, okay? We couldn't say that. This car used to belong to my father, or this car belonged to my father, okay? So with the state verbs, no continuous tenses. Shorter temporary actions, we can use the past continuous here. So I was working in London for a few years back in the 90s, okay? I was working in London for a few years back in the 1990s. That's how I learned to speak English so well, because I was working in London. And he was learning to play the guitar for a little while, okay? So it was a temporary action, a shorter action. He was learning to play the guitar for a short period of time. If you say he learnt to play the guitar when he was a child, okay, it's different. It's a longer action. So we wouldn't use the past continuous for the longer action, but for the shorter temporary action, I was working in London temporarily. He was learning to play the guitar for a little while. It was a shorter action, a temporary action that he was learning to play the guitar. Okay. Now, and finally, we're used with always, constantly, etc. Now, have a look at how we use it here. He must have had a rash because he was always scratching himself. He was always scratching. So he must have had a rash, always, all right? And my ex-wife was constantly nagging me. She was constantly nagging me. Bang, bang, nag, 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 nag. She was constantly nagging me, okay? When I was married to her, my ex-wife, she was constantly nagging me. It's probably why we got divorced, because she was constantly nagging me, okay? So with always, constantly, etc., we can use this past continuous tense. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions or any comments, please leave them below. Remember to share the video on social media, your Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Pinterest, pin it. Why not? And I'll see you in the next lesson. Have a good day. Bye.